Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Clarity Tarot and Astrology. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited for tonight's live stream because we are doing an in-depth deep dive of the full moon in Taurus. And I'm going to break this down for each of the 12 signs. So there's going to be a message here for everyone that tunes into the stream. I'm going to start off by going through the full moon from a general perspective. And this is how it's going to be affecting all of us. And then I will go into each of the 12 signs. And if you're watching this in the recorded version, I will have timestamps for you down in the description. After we go through this, I will open up for live readings. So if you want to get your chart read tonight, see what's going on for you, see how this is affecting you, especially if you are someone that is more affected by the full moon, if you are a Taurus person, if you are a Scorpio, if you are a Leo, or if you are an Aquarius, then this is going to affect you a little bit more than everybody else. If you're feeling it, then it might be a good time to check in for a reading, okay? All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive in and let's talk about the full moon in Taurus. So first things first, this full moon is happening on November 5th at about 8:19 a.m., but you can still be feeling it now and in the days to come, okay? And this full moon is happening at 13 degrees. So you'll want to look at your chart, see what you have at 13 degrees or Taurus, give or take 5 degrees on either side, or 13 degrees of the fixed signs, again, give or take 5 degrees on either side. If you have anything around these points or any aspects that are being made, then this full moon is affecting you more. Now, what is a full moon? A full moon is an illumination point. It's when the moon is at its fullest peak, it's emanating its brightest light. And with that light, we have clarity. We can see what is going on in this particular area of life very, very clearly. And with that clarity, with that truth, we understand better what the direction is for that area of our life, if what we're doing in that area is working, and if we should continue on, or if it's not working, and if we need to release something and let go. So these are really big points that we hit every single month where we get this reality check, we get this, check in with ourselves and see if we're on the right path or if it's time to change path. Okay. And the sign of Taurus is an earth sign. So it's dealing with the real physical world. We're going to be focusing on our real life and what is happening, particularly with Taurus. We're talking about our material life, our money, our resources, our finances, our goods, our food, okay? Seeing what we have available to us. Do we have enough? Are we in abundance or are we in lack? And with this reality of understanding where you're at right now, that can help you to make some decisions in your life. And with this particular full moon in Taurus, different people are going to be having different realities, okay? Some people are going to look at their material world and their material life and be like, wow, I have a lot. I'm blessed. Things are going really good for me. And other people are going to look at their realities and they're going to say, oh my God, I don't have enough. This is not good. I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure. And so we're seeing this divide in the collective. We're starting to see the shift or the break between the two different sides of the collective widen right now. There are some people who are elevating, who are raising themselves up, who are getting to new levels, who are having a better experience of life. And there are other people who are finding their situations diminishing or not getting better or finding themselves moving towards a situation of lack. So you will be able to very clearly see right now kind of where you stand at this particular moment in time. And it's important to accept your reality or to not try to like pretend that you're not experiencing something that you're not. Because again, you can only make changes from a place of truth. So you have to be able to look at your reality no matter how hard it is and be willing to make adjustments and make changes accordingly. Okay. Before we continue on, I want to show you guys where we're at in terms of the lunar month. Okay. So we started off this lunar month on October 21st with a new moon in Libra. The energy has been building since, and now here we are at the full moon in Taurus. So you can see that this is where the energy is the highest, it's heightened. Emotions can be running very high, things can feel very intense. And just know that that is very, very normal at this particular moment in time. And from this point, we're then going to enter into the other side of the lunar month, which is the waning phase, and things will start to wind down, okay? And you'll have an opportunity during this time to make some changes in what you're doing and get ready for a brand new beginning. Now, I also would like to show at this time the Moonology card for the moon, and for the full moon in Taurus, the message is detoxify, okay? So certainly during this time, there's something that we're needing to let go and release. And that's a part of the bigger theme that we're experiencing right now with where we are energetically is we are needing to let go of things in our life in order for us to make space for all of the new things that are going to be coming in for us in 2026. So, this is an opportunity for you to lighten your load and to not hold on to things in your material world that are not working. Now, the ruler of this full moon is Venus, okay? And Venus is the ruler of love, money, beauty, pleasure, okay? And so, again, a really big focus for this full moon is on what do we have? What do we have? Do we have enough? Do we not have a lot? What's the quality of what we have? Is it good quality? Is it bad quality? Okay. And at the time of this full moon, Venus is actually at home in the sign of Libra. Okay. So Venus rules Taurus, but it also rules Libra. And when Venus is in Taurus, she's more concerned with physical luxuries. Okay. She's concerned with, food, money, resources, things you can touch, taste, smell. But when Venus is in the sign of Libra, she's more concerned with relationships and relating to people. So even though Venus is at home in the sign of Libra, she's kind of focused right now on something different than what the full moon is focused on. And Venus is also receiving a lot of aspects at this time. She's receiving, she's squaring Jupiter, she's squaring Pluto. Okay, so there's some tense energy at this time. She's opposite to Chiron. There's also, feelings of unworthiness and lack and wounding going on at this time. So, yes, Venus is in her home sign, but she's not in the best position either. Okay. Which shows that, there's a little bit of incompatibility with this full moon. Like I said, Taurus is more about physical goods, material goods. Venus is about relationships. So it's possible at this time that our particular needs, the needs that we have, the things that we need, other people may not be able to meet those needs for us. Or we might be having a difficult time working together with people to get what it is that we want and need. And that makes sense with everything we have going on in the States right now, right? People are not able to get what they need because some people can't get along. And so that is a theme in this full moon. But you'll notice that Venus is behind the sun, okay? She's not touching the sun, she's behind it. So we do have a little bit more clarity at this time in terms of what's going on with relationships. And this also indicates that there is some type of ending, completion, or we're able to see some type of blind spot. So we are going to have a little bit of insight or a little bit more information of things that are going on behind the scenes. And that's going to also help us to understand our own personal position better. Furthermore, Venus is sitting at 28 degrees, which is a Cancer degree. And so, there's a lot of emotions that are running at this time. And like I said, Venus is also squaring Jupiter, that is in Cancer. And Jupiter is getting ready to go retrograde here very, very shortly. And so I think that there is also an element of this moon of, again, not feeling like our needs are getting met by other people, feeling a little bit insecure about that. And I think ultimately us realizing that we have to rely more on ourselves more than other people right now. And I think a lot of people are starting to wake up and realize that that is very important. Okay. All right. Venus is making a bunch of other aspects, but I think just the big picture that I want to get across here is that, we're having to see something very clearly right now. We're having to see the truth and the reality about something right now. And I think the reality is that if you are dependent or reliant on the wrong people for your own physical well-being and support, that your needs are not going to be met. And it's important for you to align yourself with the right people, okay? And also to take more responsibility for your security, your safety, and your physical well-being, okay? Other people right now or other, entities, they could have a lot going on, and your particular specific needs may not be their top priority. And I think that that is just important to understand, to not get mad about that, but just to accept reality and figure out what you're going to do about that. So, like I said, there's kind of two groups of people right now. There's groups of people that I feel like are level headed and they're understanding this and they're taking control. And then I think that there's another group of people that is kind of crashing out and angry and mad. And that's another part of Taurus, is that Taurus definitely can have some anger issues, can get really hot-headed and can be really stubborn. But I think if you can stay grounded and stay practical right now, that's going to help you to move forward in a more productive way. All right, in terms of the aspects that the moon is making, it's actually only aspecting the nodes. And this is really important too, because this is showing that this is a very karmic full moon and that things are aligning to the way that they are meant to be. So do pay attention to what is going on in your life and what is going on in the world. We're getting a snapshot. We're kind of seeing right now where things are going. And you can't be naive and you can't pretend that things are not happening right now. You have to really tune into reality. What I find very interesting is that this full moon is making a trine to the south node in Virgo. Okay, so it's showing that there's something about our material world and our material life that is being released at this time. And it's happening very easily with the trine. Okay. Yes, a trine is a positive aspect, but it makes things happen very easily. And so that can make good things happen and that can make bad things happen. And I think the good thing that is coming out of this is that understanding your situation and seeing the reality of it, that can help you to let go and release certain things in your life where you're over giving, you're over serving, you're over delivering, you're putting too much worth and value into something. And maybe you need to focus more on yourself. Okay. Not giving everything to your work, not giving everything to your boss, not giving everything to, people you work with, right? That are maybe draining you, right? Taking some more power and control into your own life. Also, we're already seeing it, but tons of people are getting laid off from their jobs. And I know it in the moment it sucks, right? It doesn't feel good. But the reality is that this is the direction that things are going in. And it's a blessing in disguise for many, many people. And it's time for people to start taking more responsibility for themselves and not relying so heavily on other people who maybe don't have your best interest at heart. So, yes, we're going to continue to see all of these layoffs going on for various different reasons. But there's a bigger theme at play here. And it's that the old way of doing things, the old system of, go to school, get a job, get a degree, you know, whatever, move up in your company, get promotions, like that whole system is deteriorating. And people have to understand that. They have to start realizing that things are not working the way they used to work. And if you're reliant on the old system in the old way, there's going to be consequences. And people are already seeing that. They're seeing their livelihood, they're seeing their stability, they're seeing their benefits being taken away from them. And that's leading a lot of people to feel very hopeless and very powerless. But you have to accept reality, you have to accept truth, and you have to figure out what you're going to do and find another option, find another solution, find another way. Understand what's going on in the bigger picture, in the macro picture of things, and figure out how you want to proceed forward into the new world and into the new reality. The other thing that's happening at this time is that this full moon is making a sextile to the North Node in Pisces. And so the way through right now is opening up to faith, opening up to God, opening up to the universe to guide your next steps, to not be reactionary and to not fall into fear and fall into lack and feel like everything is just so bad, but to have more faith, to have more trust, to surrender to the journey, and to align more with your mission and your purpose in life. And so many people right now are just completely out of alignment. They're absolutely not doing what they're meant to be doing on this planet right now. And they're just, again, following into the system of what they've been told, go to school, get a job, get a degree, and everything's going to be fine. And that's just not true. And what people should be doing instead is finding out what their purpose is, finding out what their mission is, finding out why they're here on Earth, and trying to do that and moving in that direction and understanding that that is the bigger reason of why you are here. So we have an opportunity to lean more into that at this time, but it requires faith and it requires surrender, right? And that means not leaning on your own logic and your own understanding, because you only have a very tiny understanding of the world, but the universe understands everything, understands the big picture. And when you align with the universe's way and you live in accordance to the way that the universe wants you to live, life gets so much easier. So a lot of people are struggling right now unnecessarily because they're not listening to their intuition. They're just living more logically, and it's leading them down the wrong path. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to that now, but it can be a hard realization when you've been off the path for a long time. So that's the solution at this time. That's how you're able to move forward, is to give it to God, give it to the universe, give it to spirit, and start letting yourself be guided rather than moving into the Virgo side of things, which is trying to logic everything out. All right, so that is the overall energy for the full moon in Taurus. It's definitely going to be a mixed bag for everyone, but I think what you're going to see and what I want you to take away from this is that whatever your reality is, accept it and think about what it is that you'd rather be doing or how you want your reality to change, and start to figure out how you can work towards that. Okay. And not keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's just leading you to be drained and to feel discouraged and to feel disheartened. Look at the reality of where you're standing and make a plan for how you want to get out of that instead of falling into fear and worry and anxiety. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So now let's go into the predictions for each of the 12 signs. I will take timestamps for you. And of course, we're going to start off with Aries. Alrighty. So for Aries, all right. So for Aries and Aries rising, this full moon is happening for you in your second house. So really everything I said in the beginning, Aries, applies to you as always. But the second house is the house of your money. It's the house of your finances, your resources, your savings, what is available for you in your physical reality, what you can touch, feel, taste, see, etc. So this full moon is illuminating where you're at right now. Okay, for better or for worse. But there's some type of climax that you're reaching here in terms of your finances and your resources. And you want to think back, Aries, to, earlier this year around like April, May time. What did you start? What were your intentions at that time at the new moon in Taurus? What intentions did you set for yourself in terms of your finances and your resources? Did that come to pass? Did that work out for you? This is kind of like the end of your 6-month experiment. And you can now see if the path that you've been on financially, if it's working or if it's not, or if it's time to change course or do something differently. If you're feeling really good and confident at this time and things are going well for you, then great. This can also be a time where, Aries, you might have money coming in. Okay. But if you're on the other side of that where things are financially not going very well for you, you don't like how things are going, then this is your chance to be real about that, right? To be real about that and go, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. It's time to make a change. And you might need to make some changes in regards to your work, health, and daily routine, right? You might not be in the right workplace. You might not be doing the right business. You might not be conducting yourself right. You might not be offering the correct services. And it's a time for you to let go of anything, especially if it's something that you feel is burning you out or something that you feel is not aligned with what you're supposed to be doing. You feel like you're putting a lot of effort and energy into the work that you're doing and it's just not paying off. By this point in time, if it was going to pay off, it would pay off and you would know. And so you have to be honest with yourself about where you're at and decide if this is the time for you to make some changes and align more with where it is that you are meant to be going, to align more with your divine path and to follow that now, as opposed to trying to do what makes sense and what is logical. Okay. All right. So big clarity or revelation for you in terms of where you're at in your finances. And with this clarity, you're going to decide to either keep doing what you're doing or to make some big changes. All right, Aries. So hopefully that is helpful for you. For Taurus and Taurus rising, well, this is your full moon, okay? So you are in the spotlight right now. And when you have a full moon in your sign, you could feel, you know, very, very anxious, or you just have a lot of emotions, a lot of energy. That's very normal because this full moon is highlighting your entire life and it's allowing you to see your whole life for what it is, for better or for worse. And it's very likely at this time that there's something about your life, some area of your life that has it's coming to a close, it's coming to an end, and it's time to start releasing that and letting something go. The thing that's been going on for you, Taurus, is that you've been figuring out who you really are for the past couple of years. You've been letting go of false identities. You've been letting go of um, ways of doing things and ways of living that are just inauthentic. And it's likely that you just gotten to a point in your journey where you just, can no longer tolerate or stand certain things. Like you've just changed so much at this point in time. And your life needs to respond to that, especially your relationships. It's like people in your life need to respond to the new version of you. They need to kind of level up to the new version of you. And if people in your life are not going to change, then you have to make the change, right? You have to make the decision to change certain elements of your life. And this can be relating to anything. This could be in relation to your relationships, in relation to your career, in relation to your family life, your place of living, right? Something is off, something is not working, something has just gone as far as it can go, right? It made sense at the time, it made sense for the season, but it's just not making sense anymore. And over the next 6 months, as this energy starts to wind down in your life, you're going to be in a season of releasing, right? Releasing and dropping the weight. And Uranus, the planet of unexpected changes, has just recently re entered or is about to re enter into your sign. So, Uranus coming back into your sign is saying, look, we've got some more work to do. We have to level up, we have to upgrade. And something's going to change, right? Something's got to change. So just be ready for that, Taurus. Just know that you're in a season right now of letting things go, but don't even think about it as like you're losing something. You're kind of refining. You're refining things and you're getting things up to speed as to where it is that they need to be, as opposed to, oh, you're just, emptying out your whole life and you're just going to be alone with nothing. Anything that's leaving your life, anyone that's leaving your life is leaving for a reason and a purpose because the season is just over. And it's time to release and let go. Okay. And I know this is difficult for Taurus because you guys are fixed signs. You don't love to let go. You're very stubborn. You hold on. But it's that holding on that's also keeping you stuck and not allowing you to live a better life. Okay. Things are not just going to change, just because they're going to change because you make the change. Okay. Alrighty, Taurus. That's what I have for you. Good luck. For Gemini and Gemini rising, this full moon in Taurus is going to be happening for you in your 12th house. Okay. So for you, this is much more behind the scenes. It is something that's happening internally, privately. Um, and it's happening within your spiritual journey. Okay. So there might not be anything that happens externally for you. It's definitely more internal. So you could be having some big realizations, understanding chapters that have come to the end, having to let something go. And it could be very emotional, right? Some big emotional chapters could be ending for you. And so the best thing for you to do, Gemini, is just to rest, to be in solitude, to spend time with yourself and God and the universe and spirit, and to make peace with what needs to end in your life. Now, this full moon is happening at 13 degrees, which is an Aries degree. And Aries for you is in your 11th house of goals, plans, and dreams for the future. So it's very likely that you maybe had a goal, you had a plan, you had a dream for yourself. Maybe you tried to make it work, you tried to make it happen, you did everything that you could to try to make this happen for you. And you're now realizing either A, you've changed and you don't want that anymore, or B, it's just not going to pan out. Okay. Or C, it happened for you, but now it's time to move on. It's time to let that go. And it's time to figure out what your new dreams are going to be. So you're definitely closing out a chapter here, Gemini. Okay. Um, and like I said, the best thing for you to do is going to be to get that time alone to make peace with this and to get ready for a new chapter to begin in your life. Okay. All right. So that's what I have for you, Gemini. Good luck. For Cancer and Cancer rising, this full moon for you is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of your goals, plans, and dreams for the future. And so there's some type of illumination in this area of your life. Okay. Likely you've been working in some type of direction, right? Especially when it comes to your career. A lot of Cancers have been um, in a stage of trying to rebuild their career or trying to take their career to the next level. And this is where you can see your progress. Is your progress working for you? Are you getting the desired outcome that you would like? Are you getting the recognition that you would like? Are you around the people that you want to be around? Or is it time to change course and change directions? Okay. So that's what you can see at this time is, basically, am I on the right path? Am I moving my life forward in the right direction? Or has this just gone as far as it can go and I need to change course? Or can I keep continuing on and get what I want? Okay, so you're going to get very, very clear at this time about whether or not you're on the right path. And with that information, that's going to determine the way that you're thinking moving forward. Um, it's very likely that you may be doing things, Cancer, in a superficial way. You want some type of superficial outcome. You want people to perceive you in a certain way. You want to have a certain type of status. You want people to think you're successful. And that's fine. But I also feel like there is a bigger and more meaningful path for you to follow. And I think that if anything for you is not working out at this time, it's because you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So refine why you're working so hard. Refine why you're doing what you're doing, and make sure that it aligns with your higher self, that it aligns with the path that you're meant to follow in this lifetime. And if you find that you're not getting the success that you want, again, it's because you're not aligned with what the universe, God and spirit wants for you. You might be trying to align with the world and what the world finds successful, and what the world um, says is successful, but that path is going to be very, very empty. And you might achieve it, but then you're going to be looking for what's next and what's more. So don't fall into that trap. Make sure that you're creating a meaningful life and a meaningful future for yourself. And don't worry about what anyone else thinks about you, because at the end of the day, you have to be happy with you. You have to be happy with your life. And as long as you're happy, then that is enough. Okay, so don't try to chase the validation of other people, because it is a losing game. Okay. All right, Cancer, that's what I have for you. Good luck. For Leo and Leo rising, this full moon is happening for you in your 10th house. So this is a big full moon for you. Okay. This is illuminating your career, your public reputation, and your status. Okay. So you can really see where you sit right now. Do you have the authority that you want? Are you building the legacy that you want? Do you have the respect that you want or not? Okay. This is where something in your career or some aspect of your career is coming to some type of culmination, right? Everything you've been working on in the past couple of months, you're really seeing like what it's amounted to. And, for some of you, you're going to say, this is not enough, or this is not what I wanted. And that's going to prompt you to make some big changes. Okay. For others of you, yes, you're going to say, okay, I'm happy with where I'm at. I can keep working with this. I'm going to keep going. But it's very important that with whatever side of that you fall on, that you're aligning with your higher self, and that you're doing it for a bigger purpose and a bigger reason. Okay. And that's what I feel like Leo has been realizing over the past couple of months, is that it's not enough to just get attention or be seen, right? It's like you want to be seen in a certain way. You want to be doing meaningful work, and you want to be working with the right people, right? It's deeper than that, right? You want respect, and you want authority, and you'll be able to see if you really have that at this point in time. And if you don't, it's possible that some Leos might be deciding to leave some type of career or leave some position, to be let go of a certain stream of income in order to um, create a new one, to create a better one, um, and something that just has a bit more meaning and depth to you. Okay. So, it's like you're not you're not defining your success based upon what does everyone else think of me? You're defining your success now as, does this feel good to me? And there's likely something that you're doing right now that maybe at one point in time it did feel good and now it's not. And now it's time for you to change course and change directions. Okay? All right. So best of luck to you, Leo. For Virgo and Virgo rising, this full moon is happening for you in your ninth house, which is the house of your beliefs, your worldview, your philosophy, your higher self, the way that you think the world works. And so there's some type of illumination here. There's clarity here. You're understanding how your particular worldview is impacting and affecting your experience of life. Okay, so you may have a certain belief about life, you may have a certain idea of philosophy about life that you live by, and you might be finding out that this belief or philosophy is not really serving you, it's not really helping you to get the results that you want in your life. And it could be time for you to let go of an old, outdated belief and make room for some new beliefs that can guide your path in the way that you want it to go. So, with you having Taurus in your ninth house, this can see you kind of getting really stuck or fixated on one idea and not being able to be flexible to change ideas or to change paths as the world around you is changing. And that is so important right now because the world is changing. So the beliefs of the past or the way things used to go, the way things used to be are not working anymore, and you probably are seeing that, right? You see the evidence of that in your life without me even saying that. You might have had this idea for your life and life has not gone to that idea, it has not matched that. And that's just because we're in a time frame, we're in a season right now of great change. And so you might have to let go of your emotional attachment to life working a certain way, life looking a certain way, life functioning in a certain way to be able to then adapt to where the world is going. And this is really big for you right now because you have the South Node in your sign. So you are having a lot of karmic endings in your life right now, right? You're letting go of a lot of karma that has existed in your life for years. And a part of that right now is letting go of beliefs that you've established over the past several years of your life and being willing to become a blank slate. You know, I feel like when the South Node is going through your first house, you're becoming a blank slate. A lot of things are leaving your life, a lot of things are being removed from your life. You're changing drastically, and I feel like it's the universe's way of trying to help you to start fresh. And the ninth house is like, it's like your operating system. And I feel like your operating system is really needing to be upgraded. And that's why Uranus, the planet that upgrades and innovates and changes things drastically and unexpectedly, is actually going back into your ninth house because it's time for a system update. It's time for a reboot here and to create a new worldview that aligns with where life is going and aligns with what you want for your life now, which could be very, very different than what you were going for, several years ago. The system that you use to create the foundation of your life right now. And, you could notice right now that a lot of the foundation of your life is kind of shifting and changing. And so it's important to take that seriously and to understand that, um, you know, this is happening for a reason and you really have to get on board. Okay. Get your operating system on board. And so that will become very clear and very evident to you. And over the next several months, you're going to start letting this go. And then with the new moon in Taurus that happens 6 months from now, a new mindset can come online for you. Okay? All right, Virgo, that's what I have for you. Good luck. Alrighty, for Libra, this full moon is happening for you in your 8th house. And this is the house of death, rebirth, transformation. It's where our secrets lie, our fears lie. It's about our psychology. And it also talks about other people's money. Okay, so this can go a couple of different ways for Libra people. On one end, this is you seeing your joint financial situation very clearly. Okay. So if you share finances with someone, if you are financially involved with another person or an institution, a bank, a mortgage company, loan company, all of that, okay, you're seeing the reality of where you sit right now. Okay. You're seeing the reality of where that intimate relationship sits. You're seeing the reality of where that financial relationship sits. And with that information, you have to decide what you're going to do. Okay. For some of you, this could definitely see you paying off some debts. Okay. You could be clearing out something from your plate, right? Lightening your load, which will likely be very transformative for you, especially if you've carried, certain debts or obligations for a long time. That can really change your life and your financial picture, okay, for some of you. But for others of you, you might be, taking on more debt. And that also can really change your future as well, and how you have to conduct yourself and the way you have to carry yourself. Again, if you share finances with someone in some capacity, you can see the reality of what's going on with that person. Is that person in a good situation, or is that person in a bad situation? Is this relationship going good, or is it going bad? And with that information, you also kind of can set yourself up properly. Are you going to have to take on more responsibility financially? Or can you, are things going to keep going the way they are? Or, are you able to let go and release? Going to be different for every single Libra out there. It's just that you're seeing the reality of it. And with that information, you can adjust accordingly. But definitely, this is involving somebody else, or it's involving some type of institution, someone that you have some type of relationship or partnership with. That is definitely coming out, okay? And you're either having to, face that head on. This could bring up some fears in you. There could be some power and dynamic issues that are coming up right now. But your goal should be, Libra, to try to have as much control and independence over your finances as you can. Okay. Not to say that you don't partner with anybody, or not to say that you don't receive any support from anybody, but that things are more balanced. Things are more fair. You're not overly reliant, overly dependent. If push came to shove, you would be in a good position, right? And that should be where you should be striving to get to, is just striving to get to a point where, you know, if something were to happen, if things hit the fan, if this person leaves, if, whatever, that I have secured my own uh, financial future, that my financial future and my financial positioning is not dependent on someone else's, is not dependent on someone else. And that's what you can realize right now. There could be a situation that happens for you that makes you realize, oh crap, this is the reality that I'm in. I'm stuck in this. I'm reliant on this person. I don't have control. I don't have power. And I need to do something different. Okay. And that can definitely take you down a path of, you know, developing greater independence, which I think a lot of Libra people are doing. I think a lot of Libra people right now are healing from codependency, and that's what's going on with the South Node in your 12th house. Is you're releasing a lot of your codependent ways. You're releasing your codependent nature. You're understanding kind of where that comes from and working through that and having more self-worth and having more value, seeing the value in yourself and seeing that, you can do this. So it's not saying, don't receive any help. Don't don't ask for any help. It's just saying don't find ways to not be dependent. Right? Take the help if you need it, or just take what you need, but also try to strengthen yourself up so that way eventually you don't need it. Because then you'll have more fair relationships and more fair partnerships. Okay? Alrighty. That's what I have for you, Libra. Good luck. For Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this is a big full moon for you because it's happening for you in your 7th house. Okay, so you're receiving an opposition with this moon. And so this can be a very emotional time for you. Okay. And so this full moon is bringing illumination, it's bringing clarity into your relationships. Okay, for better or for worse. You're seeing the reality about a certain relationship, about a certain dynamic, about a certain partnership. You're seeing it for what it is. And with this information, you can either decide, okay, this relationship can continue, it's going well, I like the way it's developing, or you're realizing that something needs to change, something needs to be released or transformed. And if it's not just a specific relationship, it's the way you're going about relationship, the way that you're interacting with relationship. Okay. It's also possible at this time that some type of contract is coming to an end, some type of agreement is coming to an end, or if you have clients or you work with clients, like maybe a client relationship is coming to an end, especially for you because this is happening at 13 degrees, which is an Aries degree, and Aries for you rules your 6th house of work. Okay, so a work contract could be coming to an end, an employment agreement could be coming to an end. Okay, Scorpios could definitely be affected right now by workplace drama, workplaces that are letting people go or going through bankruptcy, etc. Scorpios are vulnerable to this right now. But with this clarity about your relationships, you can see how you want to do things moving forward, especially if a lot of your whole life revolves around your relationships, right? It revolves around somebody else. You can see whether living like that is working for you or not. If you should continue to make your whole life revolve around this particular person or this particular agreement or not. It's possible that a lot of you have outgrown certain relationships or agreements or contracts, or they don't align with where you're trying to go. They don't align with your particular future. And it's time for you to release them so that way you can grow, you can evolve, and you can move on. And you can start to live a life that is more heart centered, that's aligned more with what you want, and align with your gifts, skills, and talents. So I see for a lot of Scorpio people that they could definitely be leaving jobs or losing jobs. And that could set them on a whole new trajectory of doing something that is more heart aligned, that is more creative, that they feel more passionate about, and that ends up being their new thing. Okay. So definitely a very big full moon for Scorpio people. And of course, we're in Scorpio season. And so this is where a lot of things are changing for Scorpios. You're having your solar returns. So your paths are likely changing for the year ahead. So this is to be expected at this time. It's to be expected that you'd be going through a death, rebirth, and transformation at this time. And for this particular full moon, it's something in regards to your relationships or the way you're doing relationship. Okay. All right. So best of luck for Scorpio people. Alrighty, for Sagittarius people, this full moon is happening for you in your sixth house, which is the house of your work, health, and daily routine. So there's some type of culmination related to your work, health, or daily routine. So for Sagittarius people, this could be the end of a job that you're doing, the end of a business, the end of a service that you are providing. Okay. With the South Node in your 10th house, Sagittarius people are also very vulnerable right now to job loss or being laid off, being furloughed, things like this. It's possible that the industry that you're in is, going through a lot of turmoil right now. And, this could just be what is needing to happen at this time. Okay. So something around your public reputation, your career, your status is being affected at the time of this full moon. Certainly, the way you're doing life is going to change. Okay, you could be changing your routine, changing your job, changing the way that you are going about your daily life in some way. But this is good, however things are changing, this is good because it's making space for you to live a more heart-centered life, a more home-centered life. Okay. It's possible that for the past couple of years, Sag, you've just been focusing a lot on work and career and status and getting to a certain level at the detriment of your relationships, at the detriment of your family. And I feel like the universe is wanting you to focus more in on that now. Um, you likely have done enough, and it's time for you to shift gears. And so you could be making the leap for yourself, you could be jumping, or the universe could be pushing you at this time. Okay. So just know that with whatever you're doing right now, the goal is to get you to move towards living a more emotionally centered life and a life that is more involved with your home and your family. So anything that's kind of taking you away from that right now is likely out of alignment on your path. Okay. So you want to be mindful that you're moving in the right direction and not moving against the grain, especially if you're finding that it's really hard. It's so hard to, work and make progress and move up the ladder because that's likely not what you're being asked to do right now. And that might feel easier for you, right? It might feel easier for you to just go to work where you can just detach from everything and not be so emotionally involved. But, the universe is asking you to do something different now. Okay. So if things are happening to you, just know that they're happening for your own good. And the universe is trying to help you to develop another side of yourself. Okay. Alrighty. That's what I have for Sagittarius. Good luck. Alrighty, for Capricorn, this full moon is happening for you in your fifth house, which is the house of love, dating, romance, children, and just having fun and enjoying your life. So there's some type of illumination here. You're getting clarity in this area of your life. You could be getting clarity right now in regards to a certain relationship, a certain like love affair that you might be in, a certain love connection that you're in. You're seeing it for what it is. You're seeing it clearly now. You're seeing the truth. You're seeing whether or not this relationship has any ability to develop, or if it kind of just is what it is, or if it's just meant to sort of stay where it's at. Okay. You're able to see that very clearly now. So this could see the end of a certain love relationship, because again, you might realize, okay, this person is not really serious about me, or they're not going in the direction that I'm going in. And I might need to release them and let them go so I can make space for something or someone that is better aligned to me. Or on the other hand, you could be realizing that this is going, uh, it does have a pathway forward, and you and this person could be deepening your connection. You could be, ready to take this connection to the next level and committing to it more. Now, this is happening at 13 degrees, which is an Aries degree, which relates to your emotional well being. Okay. And one thing that Capricorns have been having to learn and realize is how their upbringing, how their family situation, their family dynamics have been impacting their love life. Okay. A lot of Capricorns have been going into dating, looking to fill wounds and trying to make up for lacks in their family uh, system, right? And now you can see that very clearly. Okay. You can likely see more clearly now that someone else is not going to be the solution to your emotional lack. Okay. That a lot of people that you've been dating, they likely have been wound mates more than soulmates. They've been trying to highlight and show you things about yourself that you need to work on, showing you where your inner child is wounded. And that is something that you're really having to work on, very heavily right now with Chiron in your fourth house and with Chiron moving into your fifth house next year. There's a lot of family wounding, a lot of inner child wounding that you're having to, get real about and get deep with at this time. And by doing that work, it's actually going to make it easier for you to attract the right type of person. So if you find that you keep dating and you keep finding these people that trigger you, that wound you, that drag you on, they ghost you, you have no idea what's going on with them. They're showing something to you. They're mirroring you. They're mirroring the lack within you. They're mirroring the wounds and the voids within you. And nothing is going to come of these situations until you take that wounding seriously, until you heal that. Okay. And so that's the realization that a lot of Capricorns can have at this time, is that no one's going to be able to make you feel better. No one's going to be able to love you deep enough to heal your wounds. Only you can go back and fix those things inside of you. Okay. So something could be coming to a close right now, not because they're a bad person or you're a bad person, but because the intention of that person was just to help you to see something within yourself. Okay. The other thing too, I will say with Capricorn is that there's a lot of old beliefs that you're having to let go, again, around family, around the way the world works. And that's what's also been going on for Capricorn with the North Node in the third house and Saturn in the third house. Your mindset has been needing to upgrade. Okay. You have had some outdated beliefs that have been needing to go. Some idealistic beliefs about the way the world works, and those beliefs likely come from your family and your upbringing, your childhood and religion, right? You could have been socialized to think the world works this particular way, and if you do these particular things, then your life is going to be good. And it's time for you to start like moving beyond that, to start to start realizing like how the world actually works. And it's not just about working hard and doing things and then you'll get stuff. That it's a lot deeper than that. That there's more to it. It's more complex than that. Um, and start working through some of the deeper um, traumas and insecurities that you have. Okay. So, this full moon is happening in a friendly house to you. So it's meant to help you, right? It's meant to help you, but it's meant to help you by helping you to let go and release what is not working so you can find a new way of doing things. And the thing about being ruled by Saturn is that Saturn wants you to be perfect. Saturn is not going to give you anything in your life just cuz. You need to learn the lesson. You need to understand things thoroughly. And when you do that, when you have the right understanding, when you understand the lesson, that's when you're able to move on to the next lesson. That's when you're able to evolve. And a lot of Capricorns tend to get stuck and feel like, oh, Saturn sucks and this life is so hard. But it's more because there's something you don't know, there's something you don't understand. And that's what you have to start understanding, is that you have to be realistic. You have to see things for what they are, and you can't like delude yourself of things. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck in the same pattern. You stay stuck in the same pattern over and over and over again. And it's not until you start taking your inner world seriously and start doing like the real hard Saturn work that things are going to evolve forward for you. And that life is going to get more fun. Okay. All right, Capricorns. Hopefully that is helpful for you. Good luck. For Aquarius, this full moon is happening in your fourth house. So this is a big full moon for you. Okay. This could be a very emotional full moon for you, as well as it's happening in, a very emotional part of your chart. But there is some type of illumination that is going on in regards to your home, family, and living situation. Okay. You're able to see this area of your life very, very clearly. And with this clarity, with this understanding, this can help you to change your mindset or to work through some mental challenges that you've been facing. Okay. With Chiron in your third house right now, there could be a lot of tough truth or tough realities that you're having to deal with. And it's also very possible as well that you've been holding on to a lot of stored trauma. Specifically, that comes from your childhood, that comes from your home, that comes from your upbringing, your mother, your father, okay? And this is where you're having a realization of how this is affecting you, how what you've been through truly affects you in your life, and how it's time to move beyond that. Okay, it's time to move beyond that. It's time to not live that out again, right? To kind of break from the generational trauma, to break away from the generational pain, and to start living life more authentically and more true to you. And this is a big theme that's going on for you right now with Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation, that is transiting through your first house. So Aquarius people are going through massive life changes right now. And a big part of that is changing the foundation by which your life is built upon. It's likely that you've built a whole foundation, a whole life. Maybe you've built a whole family, but you've built it based upon your upbringing, based upon your childhood, based upon these insecurities that you had. And now you probably see it that all of that is falling apart. All of that is not working anymore. And it's time to build life on a new foundation, on a stronger foundation. So this full moon for you can help you to see like, okay, this is the reality of what's going on inside of me. And some of it might be hard to face or hard to deal with, but it's only from this place of truth that you can start to stabilize yourself and start to build a life that's based more upon what you need and build a life that considers you and where you have more self-worth and you have more self-confidence and you have more value. Because I feel very likely that you have definitely sold yourself short in the past and put yourself in some situations that, now you would never do, but you did it back then because you were not in the right place, right? And so now you're getting this, now you're understanding this, you're getting to the bottom of it. You're willing to do the hard work. You're willing to do the inner psychological work to let this go so you don't make those same mistakes again. Okay. You could be having some communications at this time, right? Maybe you're talking with family or you're talking with a healer, or you're talking with a therapist, right? Trying to get your mindset right, trying to get yourself prepared for the journey ahead because, boy, Aquarius, you have a journey ahead. All right. You're rebuilding your life. And any way that your power was taken away, you're taking your power back. But a part of taking your power back is understanding what you did wrong. How did you give your power away? You have to learn the mistakes. And sometimes looking at our mistakes can be a hard pill to swallow. It can be hard to face. It can be hard to face that reality. But it's necessary to move on. It's very, very necessary to move on. Okay, you can't skip over this and then everything's going to get better. Okay? All right, so hopefully that is helpful for Aquarius. Good luck. And finally, for Pisces and Pisces rising, this full moon is happening for you in your third house. So, kind of like for Gemini, there might not necessarily be anything that unfolds in your, real, tangible, material life. This for you can be much more mental. Okay. You could be having realizations specifically with you, with this happening at 13 degrees, being an Aries degree, and Aries being your second house of finances. You could be having a lot of realizations and conversations about finances, your self-worth, and your value. Okay. You could be understanding, what you need financially. This could be a time where you kind of have the ability to sit down and really look at your finances and get real with them and make a plan and get in the right emotional or mental state. Understanding the mindset that you need to adapt in order to get what you want financially. Because there are likely things about you. You might have a lot of limiting beliefs around finances, or you yeah, I guess that's the easiest way to say it. You might have a lot of limiting beliefs around finances, yet you might have big financial plans or big financial dreams. You want your life to look a certain way, but the mentality that you have right now is not going to get you to where you want to go. So, this is where you're having to understand that. And that can be hard for Pisces, right? Because you're very compassionate and you're empathetic and you're understanding and you don't want to do wrong by anyone and you want to try to help everyone. But there could definitely be people in your life clients that you work with, associations that you have with that South Node in the seventh house that are not productive for you. They're not really helping you. Like the other person might be getting a lot more value out of that than you're getting out of it. And you have to like understand that and understand that that's actually not really helping the other person. Like it doesn't actually help the other person to provide more value. It actually puts you in this imbalance. And that's why it's important to only enter in relationships with people who, can value you, can afford you, because it just creates balance, right? I give this amount and I get back what I'm worth. And that is balance. When it's the other way around, you think you're helping the person, but you could actually be, setting up an unfair dynamic. And so you have to be a little bit more discriminating about who you're giving your energy to and who you're working with. Or who you're giving your time to, or who you're giving your resources to, etc. Because a lot of times Pisces mistakes, being compassionate and being empathetic with I just have to give of myself, and that's not what it's about, right? If you're gonna give to someone, that can be a portion of what you do, but the majority of what you do should be the work that with the right person, right? Working with the right type of person. And that might require you to become a different version of yourself than you've been before. And that really requires you understanding your value and understanding your worth. And that's why we have the the North Node that's going through your first house, right? The universe wants you to align with yourself, to align with your power, and to stop worrying so much about everyone else and like trying to help everyone else and trying to help their karma. It's like, no, they've got to worry about themselves. They've got their own path that they've got to go on, but you've got to worry about your path. And that's what Saturn has been trying to do being in your first house. It's been trying to get you to focus on yourself, right? To exhibit more self-control, to have more boundaries. And this is the hardest thing for Pisces because Pisces doesn't want to have boundaries, right? Pisces doesn't want to have boundaries. It wants to help everyone, give to everyone, all of that, but it can do that at the detriment of itself. And Saturn being here is like, look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about anyone else, but you have to do it to a limit, right? There has to be some type of limit here. There has to be some cutoff, and I feel like with this full moon, it's understanding who do I need to become or what mindset do I need to adopt to live the life that I want to live. And that is going to be kind of selfish. It is going to feel selfish. But again, just understand that you're not really helping someone. You can't help someone. If someone can't help themselves, you're not helping them, you're just making them dependent on you. Okay, let me say that again. You're not really helping them, you're just making them dependent on you. And the point is not to have dependence. The point is to help people to rise up into their own power. So it's like you have to give people space to rise up because you are vibrating very high, Pisces. You do vibrate very, very high. And the point is not to come down to their vibration. The point is to make them come up to yours. So that's maybe the change in the mentality that has to happen at this time, is understanding that you were put here on earth with a purpose, for sure. Okay. Being Pisces, you have a purpose, you have a mission, and you need to walk that out. And what actually helps people is you living your authentic truth. What helps people is you following your mission, following your purpose, being an example and leading by example, not trying to help, the people that you deem as like, needing help, because they might not think that they need help. That's the reality, is that some people need help, but they don't think they need help. And until someone thinks they need help, then they're not going to listen to you. And it's a waste of your time, especially if you're not being compensated properly for your time and your energy. It's a waste of your time. So, you know, the goal here is to keep doing what you're doing, but to find a way to do it that honors you and that respects you and that doesn't leave you, in a bad position, right? You can help and also be in a good position. And so you have to start working. And I think we'll see this more as Saturn turns direct a little later this month. You'll start to see, okay, this is what I've got to do for myself. And I've really got to take myself seriously. And I've really got to get this together here. And I can do it with compassion, right? With Neptune in the sun. I can do it with compassion, but I need to do this for me. Point blank, period. So I think that you will get more clarity about this very, very soon. Alrighty. So that's what I have for you, Pisces, and that's what I have for everybody. I hope that was helpful and gave you a little bit of clarity and insight and guidance for the full moon. If this was good for you, do give the stream a thumbs up. And now I will open for live readings. Hello, Camille. How are you? Good to hear. I'm good, thank you. All right, let's see what you can expect in the month of November. Starting off with an astrology card. What is the most important area of life for Camille to focus on in the month of November? What do you want Camille to focus on in the month of November? All right, so your area is the 9th house. And this makes sense, I would say, for your chart because you do have the South Node that is currently going through your 9th house. So it's about your beliefs, your philosophy, your higher self, making sure that you are aligned with your higher self and that you are living a life that honors that you know living life in a way that makes sense for you and not just doing things just because what everyone else is doing, because what I was taught that this is what you do, but actually genuinely living a life that aligns with your intuition and what you feel is right. And um yeah, you know, you have the North Node right now that is in your 3rd house. So it's like you are having to define or align with your true path and put yourself in the right environment and in a place that's going to help you to thrive and to remove yourself from any type of environment or culture or religion that just like doesn't really work with you, and to understand like how you've built your life on this foundation and start to figure out how you can start like breaking that down, to really seek your own truth and to um yeah, not just follow what everyone else is doing. Okay, bottom of the deck I have the 2nd house, and this deals with your finances and your resources. This is another area to look at as well because like I was talking about in the beginning of the video, this is a very financially heavy moon as well. And understanding what side of the financial spectrum you stand on right now. Are you in the group that is um, essentially getting richer and living in abundance? Are you in the group that is kind of living in lack and, just getting by and finding it harder and harder for um, just to do everyday basic life? Like, where do you stand in that? What's the trajectory that you're on? And understanding that your ability to be on either side of the divide depends on you living life authentically and living life in truth and not just like following the crowd or following the herd. Okay. So that's the overall energy there. Let's go deeper into the tarot now. In your overall, we have the Page of Cups. Okay. So this is a month to pour into you. Okay. To pour into you. You are going to have enough emotional energy this month for yourself. Okay. But likely not for like anyone else. Okay. And, this full moon is happening for you in your 5th house of love, dating, and romance. And I would just recommend going back and watching the Capricorn portion of the video. It's going to make more sense. But, this is definitely a time for you to pour into you, to focus more on your inner child, okay? And the state of your inner child. And that goes back to this ninth house card here. It's like, what were you told as a child? What was the environment you were brought up in as a child? How has that then led you to where you are right now? And is your inner child happy with the life that you're living? Is this in alignment with who your inner child thought you were going to grow up to be, with the life that your inner child thought it was going to have, right? As it developed into your higher self. Like, are those things in alignment? Okay. This month is really about making sure you're in true alignment, not just, aligning with the old system of, go to school, get a good job, get a degree, and everything's going to be happy for you and your whole life's going to work out and you're never going to have a problem in your life again. Like, we know that was a lie and that's not true. And that's not all that life is about. And it's about more than that. And a lot of people don't find fulfillment in that. They go down that path and they're burnt out. They're unhappy. They don't have, the other areas of their life in order. And understanding that that system is set up to benefit other people, not to benefit really you, right? And so think like, am what I'm doing right now, is this my mission? Is this my purpose? Is this the path that I'm meant to be on? Is this what life is all about for me? Or am I just trying to fit into what society says is right, or what my parents said was right, or what am I trying to prove something to someone else? To really look at, why are you doing what you're doing and who is it satisfying? Is it satisfying people outside of you? Or is it satisfying your inner child? Because if you can have all of the outer success in the world, but if your inner child isn't happy, then doesn't feel good. So that's something to, really look at this month. Okay. The mindset, we have the Two of Wands. Okay. Thinking about the path ahead, thinking about the trajectory that you're on. What do the next couple years of your life look like? What does that entail? And are you on the right path? Are you on the right path in terms of what your inner child wants? Are you on the right path in terms of what your true higher self wants? Really think about the steps that you're taking. Understand the purpose, understand the reason why, don't just go through the motions, right? Take actions that are very, very meaningful and very, very thoughtful and very purposeful. Okay, in the heart space, I have the Judgment card. So yeah, this could be a very emotional month of there could be a lot of emotional culminations that happen this month. Okay. Big emotional realizations. Again, as you tap into that inner child, as you tap into your heart space, as you tap into, the part of you that wants to experience joy, you can become very clear about, what is not giving you joy and what is not aligned with your inner child and what is not giving you peace and happiness. And this can, very significantly change the path ahead for you and what you think you want. You may be on a certain path right now and you may come to realize, like, this isn't leading me any closer to happiness. This isn't leading me any closer to joy. And you might realize, like, I need to make a big decision here, because if I don't change paths now, it's going to be really hard to change paths in the future. And it's really important right now that you are on the right path, because next year, 2026, we start a brand new numerology cycle, a new 9-year cycle. So wherever you're at right now, and that's why this full moon is so important, wherever you're at right now is kind of giving you an idea of almost where things are turning for you for the next 9 years of your life. So you want to make sure that right now that you feel good about your path and you're like, yeah, if this is what my life continues to look like for the next 9 years, and I'm happy with this, and this is what I want to be doing. But if you start to realize, wait, no, I don't want to be doing this. This is not the path I want to go on. This doesn't align with me. Then you might need to make some big decisions here and understand that, it's more important for you to be emotionally happy rather than, being seen or perceived in a certain way, or, you know, getting approval from other people or proving other people wrong. That's going to be very empty in the long run. Okay, the challenge for you this month is the Strength card. And the Strength card relates to Leo, and Leo relates to our inner child, and it relates to being able to express ourselves and having joy and having fun and opening our heart to love. And that could be, one of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now is that you could be thinking too logically or thinking too practically, and neglecting this side of yourself, neglecting your creative side, or neglecting your expressive side, neglecting the part of you that just wants to have fun and enjoy life. And just seeing things through a lens that, it's not even your lens. There could be a lot of things you're doing right now that you're not even doing it because you really want to do it. You're doing it because you were influenced, right? And so you might need to really, go back to the drawing board and rethink how you're setting up your life. Because like I said, there's going to become a point where it's going to be really hard to change pathways. So you want to be sure, that you're on the right pathway. Okay, the action to take is the 10 of Cups, to open up emotionally, right? To get more in touch with your emotions, in tune with your emotions, in tune with your inner child, to have more fun, get into that space and see, okay, sitting from this perspective, do I really want to do what I'm doing right now? Am I really on the right path? You might be making a lot of your decisions right now from a place of kind of like despair or fear or, worry. If I don't do this, then what's going to happen? Or, this is the only way. It's stemming from a place that's not authentic. And it feels like you need to kind of get to a more authentically emotional space, where you can really think, a space where you're really happy, and then make the decision from there. This could be a really good month for you to get away, to go out of town, to have fun, to spend time with family, to spend time with children, to do something that you maybe have always wanted to do something that you love. That might feel really out of your comfort zone, but it could also be very helpful and very transformative for you as well. You are going to have a Mercury retrograde this month for you. It's going to start in your 12th house of endings, and it's going to move into your 11th house of your goals, plans, and dreams for the future. So there's something that you're needing to rethink here in terms of your goals, plans, and dreams for the future. You might kind of be on the wrong path in some way. And by taking some time out and getting some perspective, it can help you to understand, what really needs to change for you. It's going to be hard to make a decision in the environment that you're in right now. And you're just going to, um, conform to the environment that you're in right now, even if that environment isn't really aligned with you. So the outcome of the month, we have the High Priestess, you know, and I have the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck. This is a month for you to connect with that higher self, you know, to go beyond the physical this month. The physical world is not showing you what you need to see. It's showing you the wrong path. And because you're in the physical environment, you just kind of keep following it because it's in your face. But instead, what you're needing to do is to go within and to look above, to go beyond your situation, to see beyond it, to see past it, to dream bigger, and to bring that dream down to earth, down to reality. Okay. Not just keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping one day, maybe in the future, that things are going to turn out the way that you want. Because they're not. Okay. They're not. So you have to get more time alone, more time with spirit, more time, you know, connecting in whatever way you connect with. Okay. But that's different for everyone. And that's individualistic and it's personal for you. And you have to follow your own intuition. But you have to get to know yourself better. You have to see yourself better. You have to see yourself through the lens of spirit. So whether that's with astrology, whether that's with tarot, whether that's with yoga, you know, however you connect, you have to find that way and start following that path and start figuring out who you really are and not just following the material path of like, okay, I just get up, I go to work, I make money, come home. Like that's not the spiritual path. That's not the spiritual way. And that path doesn't lead to happiness. It leads to emptiness. And you probably already feel that. So you have to take this seriously now because we're really getting to a point in time and in the astrology, in the numerology, in the collective, where the collective is splitting off into two paths. And the space between the paths is getting bigger and bigger. So it's going to be harder to jump. The longer you wait, the bigger the jump gets, the bigger the leap, and the bigger the risk. So we're at a point right now where the path is actually, the jump is quite small, you know, and you can do it slowly and gradually, but in the future, 2026 and beyond, it's going to get bigger, 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 bigger. So if you know right now that you're not on the right path, now is the time to take it seriously, to make a change without disrupting your current situation. You can make slow and small, steady changes towards getting on the right path. But if you wait too long, it's then going to feel more risky. It's going to feel more difficult. It's going to feel more challenging. And that's because it literally is going to be. So you have to figure out what you want, okay? And the way you figure that out is by time alone with God, with spirit, being really honest with yourself. And you will get that opportunity this month with Mercury retrograde that will start in your 12th house of spirituality, of healing, of endings, of culminations. You'll get that chance, okay? But definitely take this seriously for sure. Okay, so your advice and guidance cards. We have know you are loved. Okay, know you are loved. You know, if you are not feeling that in your physical reality, know you are loved by God, the universe, spirit, and that when you align to the right path, the right people will be there. Okay. If you're not having the relationship experience that you want, it's because you're connecting to the wrong people who are not on your path. They're not on your wavelength. They're not in the same energy as you. They're not going the way you're going. And again, this goes back to the splitting off. There's a big split in people right now. You might be trying to connect with people that are going down the wrong path, or going down, I'd say, the more challenging path. There are other people who are going on the right path, and you might need to get on that path. And on that path, you likely will find more compatible people. Okay, people who think the way you think, that have the intelligence that you have. Okay, so you might need to make, a U-turn right now to get to where it is that you need to be, and know that there will be better people on the other side. We have take a breather. Yeah, you might be doing too much. The world is very heavy right now. The world is very, very heavy right now. And even heavier when you're on the wrong path. It's even harder when you're on the wrong path. And so you might need to take a pause, take a break, understand that your, discontent is not because you're not working hard enough, or, you don't have enough education, right? That's not it. It's just being in the wrong place, right? That's all it is. And sometimes it takes a pause and a step back to be able to see that, to have the perspective and the clarity to see that. So it seems counterintuitive, but sometimes by not doing anything, by just stopping and pausing, you actually see what's really going on. And we have believe in your good luck, right? The universe wants you to do well. And bottom of the deck, I have attuned to the divine, right? The universe wants you to do well. You would never be talking to me. You would never be on this channel. You would never be connecting to this type of information if you were not blessed, okay? Like, you have a lot of potential, and you have a lot more to give the world than what you're doing right now. But right now, you're interacting with the world in like a socially acceptable way, in a controlled way, in a controlled manner, right? Um, you have more beyond that, right? Like, you are a healer, right? You're in a healing profession. You have something to give. It's just you're giving your energy to the wrong people, and you're directing your energy in the wrong direction. And you need to find a pathway forward where you can give your healing energy, but in a way that gives back to you, in a way that doesn't drain you, in a way that actually fills your cup more, in a way that allows you to be in your feminine energy, and in a way that elevates your status, okay? And going down the path of more education is the opposite of that. It's the world's way, right? The world says, "Oh, get more education. Yeah, go into more debt. Yeah, do that. You're going to be happier. You're going to get better. You're going to have more." But that's not true. It's not true. Not anymore. There's a new way forward now. And the way forward now is by having control over yourself and understanding your specific gifts, your specific skills, your specific talents, and serving the world in that way. Not relying on a corporation to give you work. You are higher level than that. You have more intelligence than that. So you can take your own gifts, skills, talents, and intelligence and turn it into something that works for you. And you might not know anybody that does that in your environment. More than likely, there's probably no one around you that does that, acts like that moves like that. But that's the way forward. Otherwise, you're just going to get lumped in with everybody else who's not being themselves. The people that are following the path are going to get lumped into one group, and the people who have control over themselves and who are independent and make their own way, they're going to be in the other group. If you're just showing up for a paycheck, then you'll be grouped into the other group. But when you show up as I have my own value, I don't need anyone to tell me what I can do. I don't need a license or a degree to tell me who I am and what I can do. I have more than that. I'm better than that. I'm bigger than that. I'm more blessed than that. My value is being here on earth. Then that's when life is going to get easier. And that's when you actually go to the next status. So you have to think about where the world is going and where things are heading and decide what side you want to be on. And perhaps the issues that you're having with school is a sign that maybe you don't need to be there. That maybe you don't need to be there. Maybe it's not the right path. Maybe it's a sign to wake you up. So you have to kind of go beyond the physical world and what you see and just money and just surviving and paying rent and things like you have to go to the next level, which is creativity, which is joy, which is value, which is expression. Just expressing from your soul, expressing from the inside, not going out and chasing money, chasing success, chasing this, running around for your money, but rather attracting what you want. Just being in your actual energy. That's the next step. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is what the new moon in Libra was bringing up for Capricorn people, is you need to start a new way of interacting with the outside world, a new way of interacting with your career, a new taking on a new public reputation and status that is different from what you've been doing in the past, not just doing more of the same and thinking like, oh, okay, I go to school and I'm gonna get to the next level. No, it's going a level above that now. Like, you've already done that. You saw the results. You see what your life is like. Okay. Now you have to go higher. And that's the reality of the world. Either you're going higher or you're going lower. And by doing the same, you're just going lower. So you have to go to another level that you've never been to before. You're going to do things you've never done before. It's going to be scary. You don't know anyone that's doing it. And that's where you have to bring faith in. You have to connect with God and let God tell you what to do. Okay, this is your next step. This is what you're going to do. Not using your brain, okay, your logical brain. Your brain is not God. Your brain is you. You have to go above that to your intuition, to your higher self, to spirituality, to surrender, to pay attention. Okay, does this feel good? Does this feel bad? Does this feel right? Does this not feel right? That's a new way. That's the way to move now. Not, oh, okay, what can I do that makes more money? Like, no. What feels aligned to you? What feels right for you? That doesn't take you down the same path again, that takes you to a new level. This is time for leveling up, not just repeating the same. So, yeah, some big decisions that you have to make this month. And it all really goes back to what I say all the time, is knowing your vision for your life. Like, forget everything, forget money, forget reality. Like, if you could create your ideal life, like, this is what I want my life to be like, and stick with that and then work backwards from that, that will help you to understand what you need to be doing right now. And people always think, oh, I need to make more money or I need to get another career. No, that's never the answer. For most people, that's not the answer. No, most people is just you need to change the way you're living your daily life. That's normally the answer. Okay. So, girl, it's crunch time. It's quarter 4, it's quarter 4 right now. So you have to really, if you're on the wrong path right now, it's like, okay, my strategy is not working. I have to do something different. So you have to start taking this seriously. Like, okay, I really need to do something different here, because this doing the same thing is not going to change the outcome. Okay. Alrighty. Good luck. Do the inner work. And if you need more help, reach out and we'll get you on the right path. You're welcome. You are very, very welcome. My pleasure.